What's going on, coders? Today we're going to take a look at the Python 3 module called timeit and the way that we can utilize it to measure the time that it takes for a small piece of code to run. So how might this be useful? Well, let's say that you're wondering how a certain way of doing things measures in comparison to doing the exact same thing in a different way. For example, if we were to import statistics, so we import the entire module, and then we run statistics.mean and pass in a small list here, and that yields 2. So that's one way of doing it. We import the entire module, and then from that module we call the mean by passing a list, and we get the result. However, we can also do this in a different way. So we can import mean from statistics, import mean, and then we can just simply run mean, pass in the same list, and get 2. So these distinct two ways of doing this exact same action can be measured with the timeit module. And how might that work? So if we import the timeit function and then we take a look at the help for it, we can see that we can pass in a statement, some sort of setup, and this is where our module initialization might go. And then timer is something that we don't need to worry about. Globals can also be overlooked. However, number is essentially the number of iterations that your code will run before it returns a second, millisecond, nanosecond value of the time that it took to run this number of iterations. So the default is 1 million. You can obviously tweak that, but I found that 1 million is actually quite good. Now, something to note is that when the function returns the second, millisecond, nanosecond, etc. Value, it's actually for the entire 1 million runs. So if you wanted to find out how long it takes for your piece of code to run once, then you might actually want to run this with 1 or 10 or 100 or whatever, and then divide by the actual number. So now that we've talked about that, let's see it in action. So let's do the first import statistics mean and what that might look like with timeit. So we're going to type in timeit, and we're going to pass in the statement, which would be, in this case, it would be statistics mean. So we're going to copy that, like that. And then we are going to use the setup to import statistics, like that. And when we run it, now we should get a total execution time for the 1 million runs of both of these statements. Okay, so we can see that that takes 9.53 milliseconds, just about, to run 1 million times. However, if we wanted to instead do following, and then from statistics import mean, then that should yield a number which is different, and essentially that will tell us which way is actually more performant. So as we can see, importing just the mean function in here is actually 3 milliseconds faster over 1,000,000 runs. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but ultimately it is the better way of doing things. So if you're not going to use anything else from statistics in your code, you just want to have the mean in there, you might as well just import that instead of importing the whole module. I hope this has been a useful explanation to you. Go ahead and look at the Python documentation for timeit, see what else you can do with it, play around with it in your own time, measure your own code perhaps, and I will see you in the next video.